She had built an empire from nothing, but on this cold October night, slumped in her executive chair at 2 a.m., Miranda Chin wondered if everything she'd sacrificed had been for nothing. The bankruptcy papers sat unsigned on her mahogany desk. In 12 hours, she would have to face her 3,000 employees and tell them their jobs were gone. She was 47 years old and she was about to lose everything. But she didn't know that the quiet man pushing a mop cart down her hallway was about to change her life forever. Miranda had always prided herself on arriving first and leaving last. It was how she'd built Tech Vision from a garage startup into a billion-dollar software company. But lately, last had stretched into the early morning hours. The weight of impending failure pressed down on her shoulders like a physical force. Tonight was different, though. Tonight was the end. The hostile takeover had blindsided her. A competitor had systematically poached her biggest clients, stolen her lead engineer, and somehow accessed proprietary information that should have been impossible to obtain. Her lawyers had no answers. Her board had no solutions. The banks had no mercy. By 9 a.m., she would sign the papers that dissolved everything she'd built over 23 years. She heard the gentle squeak of wheels in the hallway. The night janitor. She'd seen him around for months, maybe longer. A slight man in his 60s with kind eyes and calloused hands. They'd exchanged polite nods, the way strangers do when they occupy the same space at unusual hours. She realized with a pang of guilt that she'd never learned his name. An impulse seized her. She didn't want to face another human being right now. Didn't want to make small talk or force a smile. She closed her eyes and let her head rest against the high-backed leather chair, slowing her breathing to mimic sleep. Through her office's glass walls, she could see his blurred figure approaching. The squeaking stopped outside her door. She heard it open quietly. She kept her eyes closed, feeling foolish, but committed to the deception now. She heard the gentle swish of a mop, the careful movement of someone trying not to disturb her. Then the sound stopped. She sensed him standing close, probably noticing the papers on her desk. She'd left the bankruptcy documents face up. Too exhausted to care about confidentiality anymore. She waited for him to resume cleaning and leave. Instead, she heard a sharp intake of breath. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." Miranda's eyes flickered beneath their lids, but she maintained the pretense of sleep. What was he doing? She heard papers rustling. Then his voice again, low and urgent, speaking in what sounded like Korean. She'd taken a semester in college and caught fragments. Cannot let this happen. Must call her phone. He was using her desk phone. Her heart hammered, but she kept still. Was he calling someone to rob her? To take advantage of her vulnerability after everything else that had gone wrong? Was she about to be victimized by the one person she'd thought was harmless? Daniel, its dad. His English was accented but clear. "I need you to listen carefully. Remember what I told you about the CEO here? The woman who helped fund the community center in Koreatown 3 years ago. She's in trouble." Miranda's mind raced. The community center. She'd made that donation anonymously through her foundation. How did he know? She's being destroyed by someone stealing information. I'm looking at the papers now. It's corporate espionage. Daniel, the same company that tried to recruit you last year. Nexus Strategic Solutions. Her blood ran cold. Nexus was the competitor crushing her. Your girlfriend, the one who works in cybersecurity for the FBI, you need to call her. Now, tonight, I think I know who's been feeding them information. There was a long pause as his son apparently spoke. I'm looking at security logs she left open on her screen. I see late-night access from Mark Breland's computer. Every time the same files that showed up in Nexus's presentations, according to these legal documents. Mark Breland, her chief operating officer, her right hand for 8 years, the man she'd trusted with everything. I know it's late, Daniel. I know she's off duty, but this woman, she gave our community $200,000 when nobody else would help us. She saved our center. She saved our family that winter when I lost my other job. Remember, this is how we pay that forward. Miranda felt hot tears sliding from her closed eyes down her cheeks. I'm taking photos of everything with my phone. Tell her I have evidence. Tell her it needs to be tonight before 9 a.m. After that, it won't matter. Another pause. I love you. 2, son. I'm proud of you. Now make that call. She heard him hang up. Heard him moving around her office. The click of her computer mouse. The subtle sound of papers being photographed. She should stop him. She should open her eyes and demand to know what he was doing. But something in his voice, the fierce protectiveness, the urgency, the absolute certainty, kept her frozen. I'm sorry for intruding, Ms. Chen, he said softly in Korean, apparently thinking she couldn't understand. But you showed kindness to strangers when you didn't have to. You gave without wanting credit. That's rare in this world. So tonight I give back. She heard him leave, the mop cart squeaking away down the hall. Miranda sat in the darkness of her office, no longer pretending to sleep, tears flowing freely now. She pulled up the security logs he'd mentioned. There they were. Mark's access codes used at 11:00 p.m. midnight, 2 a.m. on dozens of nights over the past 6 months. Files downloaded, emails accessed, her entire company handed over to competitors, piece by someone she'd trusted like a brother. Her phone rang at 2:47 a.m. A federal agent named Jennifer Park, Daniel's girlfriend, calling from home. She'd already begun pulling digital records. With the janitor's photos and testimony, they had enough for a warrant. Could Miranda keep Mark from knowing anything was wrong until the FBI arrived at 7 a.m.? Miranda made coffee, strong and black. She had 3 hours to prepare for a different kind of morning meeting. Mark arrived at 7:15 as he always did, carrying 2 lattes. Big day, he said with what she now recognized as false sympathy. You holding up okay? Never better, she said. And she meant it. The FBI agents arrived at 7:22. The look on Mark's face when they said his name would sustain her for years. The investigation moved swiftly once it began. Mark had been sloppy, arrogant in his belief that he'd never be caught. The Nexus executives had paper trails, email receipts, wire transfers hidden in poorly disguised accounts. By noon, the bankruptcy signing was postponed. By the end of the week, 3 executives from Nexus were in custody. TechVision's stolen clients began returning, horrified by the industrial espionage they'd unknowingly benefited from. Miranda found the janitor 2 days later cleaning the third-floor conference rooms. "Mr. Kim," she said. She'd learned his name. "I need to speak with you." He looked terrified. "Miss Chen, I'm sorry. I overstepped. I shouldn't have used your phone. You saved my company." He shook his head. "You saved my community first. You gave us hope when we had none. I gave money. You gave something much harder. You gave a damn about a stranger." She held out an envelope. "This is a contract. I'm creating a new position. Director of Corporate Culture and Community Engagement. It pays $120,000 a year. The job description is simple. Help me remember what matters. Help me see the people I've been too busy to notice. Help me build the kind of company that deserves loyalty." Mr. Kim's eyes filled with tears. "Miss Chen, I'm just a janitor. I have a high school education. I don't. You have a PhD in humanity, Mr. Him. That's what I need." He took the envelope with shaking hands. "Also," Miranda continued, "I'm increasing our community foundation's budget by $5 million annually. I want you to chair the selection committee. You see the needs I miss. You know the people I don't. Together, we'll do better." 6 months later, TechVision was stronger than ever. Mark Brereslin and the Nexus executives faced federal charges. Miranda had restructured her entire company around a new mission. Profit with purpose, success with soul. But the real change was smaller, more personal. Miranda now knew every janitor, every security guard, every cafeteria worker by name. She'd learned their stories, met their families, celebrated their children's graduations. Her executive team now included people promoted from unexpected places, bringing perspectives that transformed how they did business. Mr. Kim thrived in his new role. His son Daniel joined TechVision's security team. His daughter, inspired by her father's story, enrolled in business school to study ethical leadership. On the anniversary of that October night, Miranda stood before her entire company. A year ago, I almost lost everything because I'd lost sight of what mattered. I'd become so focused on profits and competition that I missed the traitor in my inner circle. But I also missed the hero pushing a mop cart. Mr. Kim reminded me that character isn't determined by title or salary. It's revealed in what we do when we think no one is watching. She smiled at Mr. Kim sitting in the front row. He thought I was asleep that night, but I was actually waking up. The room erupted in applause. That evening, as Miranda locked her office, she saw the night cleaning crew beginning their rounds. She stopped to chat with Maria from Guatemala, learning about her daughter's soccer team, with Chen, who shared photos of his new grandson, with Amara, who was studying for her nursing degree. These were her people. All of them, the executives and the janitors, the engineers and the security guards. Each one carrying dreams, fighting battles, hoping for chances. And she would never again pretend to be asleep to their